I mean, first of all, I just want to say that like the revenue meta is not a meta. Like building profitable companies is not a meta. Like it's just kind of a meme to call it that.
What's up, guys? Just wanted to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Aptos. We'll hear more about how Bitcoin DeFi and Aptos is heating up later today. But for now, let's get into the episode. What's up, guys? This is Boccaccio, the bad host.
And the better host, Danny.
Today, we have a very, very important announcement for you. We are hosting Permissionless in Brooklyn. What dates?
It's going to be in June 24th through the 26th.
Very good. You can use code 0x10 to buy your tickets. We're going to do lots and lots of stuff. Dinners.
Games. You'll get to meet the whole crew, the OX research crew, hopefully a bunch of the Blockworks research and other Blockworks crew. And maybe a dunk tank.
We're going to have fun. Whatever we can smooch off of Yano and Mippo, we're going to do it. So if you are a 0x research listener, make sure to use code 0x10 to buy your tickets. Danny, any parting words?
And we'll see you there.
Nothing said on 0x Research is a recommendation to buy or sell securities or tokens. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and any views expressed by anyone on the show are solely our opinions, not financial advice. Boccaccio, Ryan, and our guests may hold positions in the companies, funds, or projects discussed. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of 0x Research. Today, my guests are woefully unprepared, as Cedo asks, what are we talking about again today? But it's an exciting one. You know what? Do you guys want to do an introduction and then I'll tell a funny little story about us? Cedo, we can start with you since you're on my camera first.
Yep, I'm Cedo. I do motion at Initia. Hard to describe what that is. I just mainly handle the app ecosystem, trying to help apps grow and kind of develop their different things around their marketing and overall growth. I've been there for like 2 months now. Pretty hectic, but it's fun. It's a good time. Essentially, we're just trying to make a bunch of different Hyperliquids, I guess. But very like Appchain thesis centered. Hopefully it actually works this time. But yeah, that's mainly what I've been up to as of recent. And I also do Exit Liquidity, a podcast that will remain alive by the next episode we decide to do. We'll probably do some stuff now that we're based in the area we're based in. And yeah, that'll be fun.
Very good. Ali, before we get to you, I didn't know if I should introduce Exit Liquidity or not, because I didn't know if you guys were still doing it. So you are still doing it.
I mean, like,
if there's a good thing and there's like a good founder, we'll do an interview. And if we find like a good video that we want to make, or like we go somewhere we want to make a video, we'll post it from Exit Liquidity. It's tough to find.
It's just for fun. It's like you tweet when you feel like tweeting. Like we live stream when we feel like live stream. Like we don't get paid for this shit. So like we actually actively like burn money for it. So like, you know, it's gotta be fun for us.
That makes sense. For what it's worth, Exit Liquidity has my favorite animations for introductions. Like whoever your intro guy is, you should pay him more money and burn more money on that. I also really enjoyed you guys' format because it seemed like you two were genuinely just doing it because you were like, we have the time, let's chat to this guy. Which I think is a better approach than a lot of other crypto podcasts, except for Blockworks crypto podcasts, which are great. But I feel like a lot of other teams are like, how can we do as many podcasts as we can to get into as many seed rounds as possible? Versus that didn't really seem like the aim with you guys. Ali, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Ali. I do Exit Liquidity, obviously, like once or twice a year, maybe if we're lucky. My primary focus right now is I'm head of growth at Valantis, which is a DeFi protocol. We build custom DeFi infrastructure, custom DEX pools, stuff like that. So my job is basically to try and get people to care about DeFi again amidst the you know, everything that's going on, which like apparently we're in like a revenue meta now, which is a thing somehow. So I guess it's like going, you know, swinging back in my favor a little bit. But yeah, we're live on the Hyper VM. Pretty fun being on there. Yeah.
Yeah, imagine you're busy, right? Surely you're busy.
Yeah, yeah. It's I mean, yes, for sure. There's also like a lot of people, I don't think Hyperliquid does a great job communicating this, but like it is like a phased rollout. So like the chain is not anywhere near yet complete. And it's like it was way shittier, like even just like 2-3 months ago. Whereas like a lot of people are expecting it to be like fully ready out of the gate. Um, so like it definitely makes like the communication side of things a little bit more nuanced. It also like ties our hands with some stuff. Like, I mean, you guys have probably all heard like people refer to like we're waiting for precompiles to launch to go live on this or that. So like there's a good bit of just like waiting for updates involved. But I mean, beyond that, like, you know, the chain is complete enough to have like a lot of basic DeFi pieces there. So there is like it's busy for sure. There's a lot to get done in that regard. Just like building up those first pieces that like any chain needs.
Yeah, this is a conversation I've had to have with people on the Blockwork side, because I think a lot of people assume that the like Hyper EVM is now what it will be in the next year, but like they cut block times in half. Maybe 3 weeks ago, like you said, they just launched read precompiles. I think Right are on testnet, or they changed some docs around Right. I can't remember what the update was, the latest update, but Cedo, do you guys also have this thing where people assume that you're fully live and done the moment that you launched, or are you guys also doing a phased launch?
Yeah, I mean the thing is, we launched with like 8 Appchains live at the same time alongside the L1. So that I think that in itself was a little bit weird. So in the first couple weeks, people were learning a lot about bridging infrastructure and how that can be improved a lot. So that's kind of like the biggest focus, just making sure that the actual interwovenness between all the rollups is a lot stronger. And then it's also around, specifically around like the applications. First cohort of applications, there's definitely some gems in there. Like people really love Kamagachi. And what?
Yeah, including my brother. I think I
Yeah,
showed this to you already. He's built like free fucking websites on it now. He loves that.
yeah,
Like, he doesn't like anything else in crypto. He just loves Kamagachi for some reason.
yeah. It's super interesting. There's like a lot of instances of that. And then there's also just like the regular DeFi primitives that I think what they need is some iteration, some like uniqueness that drives people there. But the normal DeFi people that understand how to kind of engage with the new ecosystem and earn properly within DeFi primitives, that's definitely happening. But I think I'm excited about like this next cohort where that uniqueness is going to be like a focus. Kind of think about why you jump to any other chain, or why you jump to any other ecosystem. There has to be a unique value prop. So I think that's going to be like the main focus as we change things within the infrastructure stack that these app chains are able to use to make that easier. So that's been the main focus for us.
Is there anything that I should specifically be looking forward to? Like, do you have like a gem that you're like, keep an eye on this, or do you have to be very diplomatic because of your power and your position?
Um, there's one that's already been talked about a lot that I had a really good conversation with recently. Um, you probably heard of Contro, and they're like glob. They took a while to create what they have now, but they have this alpha out. It's like a private alpha. You're able to get in via this Telegram. They just launched it a few days ago, and I was super impressed by the application UX. It's definitely weird to have this like streaming of liquidity. It's still on testnet, but I'm pretty excited for them because they have like a very interesting North Star where like the founder Andreas thinks that opinions that happen online basically should be backed up by money. And the way that we're fed opinions on social media should be a lot more unique. And so it's that with an alternative liquidity mechanism for like binary prediction markets. And I think it could be a solution that is like super unique. And the UX now is like pretty clean, and they're gonna upgrade over the next few weeks and then get the thing live on mainnet. I think that'll be a pretty solid gem.
That makes sense. I'll put them in the show notes. I have heard of them and seen them. I feel like these prediction markets are doing, or prediction market related platforms are more and more popular. People love gambling. The revenue meta is actually just companies making money on gambling. So we'll see how it
develops. That's a good point.
Bitcoin DeFi is heating up on Aptos. With nearly 400 million BTC assets on chain, Aptos users can now earn yield on their Bitcoin via Eco aBTC and OKX xBTC without the typical bridge risks and high fees. To explore BTC yield opportunities on Aptos, follow the link in today's show notes.
As always, investments in blockchain technology involve risk. Terms and conditions apply. Do your own research.
Ali, you mentioned, and Cedo, I also want your opinion on this. Like you guys said, the revenue meta. I mean, from what I remember, so Ali, I know you wrote a pretty big report back in the day on options, perps, etc. Cedo,
I don't write or read.
Okay. No, but when I came on and when I've seen your exit liquidity pod, this is typically around DeFi. And I feel like the past year and a half hasn't. Well, now it's getting a bit more and more, but past year and a half hasn't been much about DeFi. How do you like on our site? Sometimes we get bored. We're like, I can't fucking write about Telegram bots again, because that's the only thing. Like, you can't write about meme coins. Maybe you can write one, but you can't write multiple times. How have you guys been spending your time? What have you been focused on apart from your jobs?
I think. I mean, first of all, I just want to say that like the revenue meta is not a meta. Like, building profitable companies is not a meta. Like, it's just kind of a meme to call it that. It's pretty dumb that people are like calling it this new thing as if like, I don't know. It's ridiculous, like you guys know already. Like outside of I guess just like working on Valantis, I find it helps to either like zoom in a lot or like zoom out a lot. Like the middle ground, which is kind of where like CT keeps you, of like you have these like attention cycles where like we'll rotate from being excited about one thing to the next week to week. Like, it just burns you out and like makes you kind of lose the plot, you know? There are always like cool teams doing stuff, and it's like I find that either following a handful of those who I really like a lot more closely and like seeing them develop like week over week, month over month is a good way to kind of like get away from that. Zooming out is a little bit harder for me because like you can only be like big picture for so long before things start to like, before you have to like be practical about stuff. And it is a little bit harder with like all the CT noise if you spend a good bit of time on there. But also like kind of, I mean, me and Cedo at least got into crypto like because of DeFi. Like, that's why it's most of what we talk about, like most of what we work on even. So it's like having that reset every now and then, getting off of CT, like understanding that like there is like progress being made in a lot of key areas, and like, just like getting back to like why we're here in the first place is a more challenging way to do it, I think, but it like does help to kind of reset back to that every now and then amidst the 5th trading bot this year that's printing in revenue or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Are you kind of sick and tired of the, what have you been doing over the past year since DeFi has kind of taken a backseat apart from your job? Like, what have you been trading? What have you been looking at? Do you
I'd
trade?
say like I go like last year, like this time last year, I was doing what everyone was doing. I was trading meme coins and like on Solana. I was getting wrecked, but I also, you know, caught a few things. And yeah, the like it's the normal thing, just go where like the flows are. But I think for me, specifically to DeFi, the thing that keeps me interested is like, you know, I had like a finance degree out of college, and I learned more about finance through like DeFi than I ever did throughout college. And it's this super fun element of crypto in general where you can look at in like a pessimistic view where like people are scamming, but it's also like people are trying things and then maybe those things blow up. And then if a few things blow up, you'll get something that works at the end of it. And like I remember when like we were doing like a derivative season on exit liquidity, we were doing options and perp protocols, and people were running like virtual AMMs, and those all blew up. And then throughout those learnings, you get like a Hyperliquid on the other side. Or like even um, Bagel pointed this out. I don't know if people know Bursting Bagel on Twitter, but Morpho's recent announcement around their like fixed rate lending thing, I think that's pretty cool. And it looks like it took a lot of inspiration from like NFTFi lending, where it was like peer-to-peer fixed rate lending on these JPEGs. And now it looks like they're going to be able to have something that's actually, you know, more robust for like a lot of real money and not JPEGs and things like that. So that's what always keeps me interested. I think like the unique way to kind of like create these DeFi primitives is always interesting. And then you have things like the holy grail of like under-collateralized lending, right? Where like you see like Wildcat and 3Chain trying stuff. Like I'm excited for those to maybe blow up, and then maybe we'll have something that's like tried and tested, and
Yeah.
you know, it'll be cool.
No, that makes sense. The reason that that is the holy grail is because we need as much credit in crypto as possible, right? I'm not misunderstanding it. Who attempted this? Last time we did this, it was centralized, I guess CFI, and then those blow up. Did we do under collateralized last time? Goldfinch did it. Do you guys remember
I
that?
think Maple also tried some stuff
Maple,
with like
yeah,
businesses, yeah, and that blew up.
yeah. It was more. I guess it was more similar to like 3Chain. I don't think anyone has tried what they're doing right now. But like Wildcat's model of like lending to businesses, I think Goldfinch and Maple had that whole thing where there was like mm, people who like took out loans for their small businesses to buy like motorcycles or something for like food
Yeah, like
delivery or whatever,
electric bikes,
and they defaulted, and it's like what do we do now? Like we have to go to like Argentina or wherever to go and like liquidate these bikes.
It was Goldfinch, but it was literally that they took out for motorbikes in Kenya, I think, or maybe Argentina, and then they didn't pay it back. That's the thing. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if either of you guys are, but I think Wildcat probably makes sense because you're dealing with institutions. Like they're lending out to split capital, not to some guy in Argentina. Do either of you know how the free gain credit system works? Is it just ported from real life?
They use a lot of stuff in the back end. We did the last, was it the last pod we did was with them? Yeah, it was with Wildcat and 3Chain, and 3Chain guy, he actually ran the lending desk at Ribbon, I think.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't think they were. I mean, I don't think they were lending. It was mainly just. I don't know what he did there, but I think it was mostly just like options strategies. I don't know if there was any like. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest.
But yeah, they're basically, they have like Stripe integrations. They have some like ZK proof integration that basically allows you to utilize like a Coinbase balance, your credit score that lives off chain, and then they do like some type of AI analysis on your wallet, your DeFi wallet. So they're optimizing for people that are DeFi farmers that have these wallets with that kind of like reputation built in, and they calculate like some type of score for them, and determine how much they can borrow and at what rate. From what I've seen, they're like the first few people have gotten, they're paying like around like 11% to borrow, which isn't great, but they're definitely getting like a lot more, and it's obviously under collateralized. But yeah, I think the Wildcat thing is like super cool. I'm just curious how like something like that scales out, right? Because you can only like approve and onboard so many split capitals, right?
Yeah.
I think they have plans.
I'm pretty sure you can like pull your I'm actually trying it right now because I remember they announced this, but I never got to try it. You can like pull your credit on 3Jane and like see how much you would be eligible for. They gave me 0 USDC. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, it doesn't really
Just called me
I think that part
broke.
doesn't work.
Oh, it doesn't?
Well, like from what I've seen on Twitter, like people are saying that most of the time they're not getting nothing unless they do like the full stack of
yeah, I don't want to do. You can connect like your Credit Karma and like your banks and stuff like that. I remember that like when they were talking about on the podcast, like ZK TLS was the big unlock there, like being able to access that information from like off-chain sources without like being able to prove it without needing to like access it necessarily or something like that. Apparently that is like the reason why this is possible.
Yeah. I also saw someone say on Twitter there's so apparently each Stripe call costs the platform like around like $2 for Stripe to do their kind of thing.
Jesus.
So someone was saying they could theoretically, I'm believing whatever this person is saying, but they're saying that you could kind of just bankrupt 3Chain by just spam calling the Stripe integration.
No, they have
I'm sure there's
it's limited. The spots are limited.
Yeah. So those things are definitely still early, and I hope they don't blow up. But I think we'll see a lot of iteration on this kind of like under collateralized lending. And actually, have you guys not done you guys should do a pod with those guys.
I will. I just remembered and I put it in my notes, to be honest with you. I'm gonna try and have Lawrence on as well from Wildcat. I think that
Lawrence is hilarious.
Dude, Lawrence is so funny. he's a great podcast guest.
Yeah.
I don't know how happy he'll be that Cedo said hopefully they blow up and it gets better.
I didn't say hopefully they blow up. I'll say
you totally said that.
The thing is, he's very honest with the platform. He's like, this is a riskier thing. That's why the rates are higher for lending. Like this has the potential to blow up. You have the potential to not get your money back.
He did say like I don't remember him ever using the words blow up, but he did say like there will come a time when like someone defaults and like everybody comes to Lawrence and is like, dude, like what do I do now? And like it's just gonna be a comms nightmare. But like I mean, I don't know. The platform is designed to like handle cases like that, even if like when it happens, like users are definitely gonna be upset initially, but over time they're supposed to be able to like to acquire that debt and like clear it off the books or something like that.
I mean, people are upset if there's a default in real life as well. Like it ruins people. So I think there's not much that Lawrence can do on that end. With nearly 400 million BTC on chain, supported by a secure, fast, and affordable Move VM environment, Aptos has become the BTCFi growth chain. Aptos users can now earn yield on their Bitcoin via Eco's aBTC and OKX's xBTC without the typical bridge risks and high fees. With support from Echo, OKX, and Stacks' SBTC, Aptos is the place to go for best-in-class yield on Bitcoin. To explore BTC yield opportunities on Aptos, follow the link in today's show notes.
As always, investments in blockchain technology involve risk. Terms and conditions apply. Do your own research.
In terms of perps, have you guys tried any... Ali, this might be a little scary of a question for you, but have you guys tried out anything but Hyperliquid these days? Have you used anything but Hyperliquid these days?
I've tried them all, dude. I don't know about all of them, but like there's like this new wave of perp dexes who are all kind of just like trying to like tail this Hyperliquid like hype. It's like extended, variational, lighter, Pacifica. There's like a couple others that I haven't tried. I think like Avantis and some other one.
Aster. Do you know that one? The one that's CZ backed or Binance.
Oh yeah. I didn't know that's what it was called.
Dark pool one.
Yeah. I've tried a lot of them, but like I don't know. I'm not a very sophisticated trader, so I can tell that the liquidity is terrible on a lot of them, and some of them like I can't even really trade on, or at least like trade on without just getting ruined by slippage. But like I don't know, they're all just like perp dexes with points programs. Like it is what it is.
What do you We talked about VAMMs a bit. Obviously blew up. Did you guys always, like, in your mind, did it always make sense that a CLOB would win out, or were you ever like, you know what, there's some like AMM hybrid models that might work out? The better question is like, when GMX was out, were you like, you know what, this model probably wins eventually, or were you always caught thinking it's stupid?
I never really thought about the models to determine a winner. I remember we had a guest who was like very against AMMs, and that's one of the first times that I was thinking about like, this is an AMM, this is like a order book. Like what? That was like kind of the first instance where I was debating that within my head. I don't know. I was never really like a big GMX trader. I think most people were just using or just interacting with the platform via like GLP, or at least the ones that I knew. Yeah, I never really like debated that within my head, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. It took time for me to like develop those opinions, I think, and I flip back and forth pretty often. Like the first time I heard of like a VMM, I didn't really understand what was wrong with it, and like I don't think any of them had really blown up at that point. Or like when GMX was hot, like I didn't really understand what their model was. I feel like I have a more nuanced opinion now. For perps, it kind of has to be a CLOB, right? Like you can't. Yeah. I don't think there's any way you can scale like AMMs as we understand them today to like do what Hyperliquid or like a Sex could do. Like you just can't straight up. I have always been interested in hybrid models though. Like I always liked Vertex. I always liked Drift. Like intuitively it makes a lot of sense to me because you're able to like deepen the liquidity on your books a little bit while also giving users a way to like passively provide liquidity. They usually still get burned providing that liquidity, but like I don't know, people tend to oversimplify AMMs. I think there's a lot of different ways they could look that is not just like simple like XY equals K bonding curves or like concentrated liquidity or whatever that is able to do more. And people are just too quick to write them off. Like people have had a centralized like source of bids and asks on some asset for like as long as we've traded things, pretty much like longer than we have had computers probably. But like AMMs we've had for what, like 10 years?
Maybe less.
Yeah. And like they have been improving and changing in a lot of different ways. Like, and they all still suck in a lot of different ways too. But like just writing them off so quickly this is like more for spot assets. Writing them off so quickly is just like, it just seems super short-sighted in my opinion. And it's like not, I think if you hold that opinion, then that is like an anti-DeFi opinion. Like you're kind of missing the forest for the trees with that.
I think that makes sense. I feel like the general take now is for super long tail dog shit assets, you want to use AMMs to swap, or for like one-to-ones, well, things that should be one-to-one, LSTs. guess USDC, USDT, etc.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's a pretty common take. I think it definitely makes sense. Yeah, I mean, we still haven't really seen any spot order books on chain that like can provide good liquidity for anything under, like, it's not even just like shit assets. It's like under like 200 mil market cap stuff. Like, people like vastly overestimate Hyperliquid spot for everything outside of like hype, Bitcoin, and like ETH and Sol maybe. Like, outside of that, like, you're gonna want to use an AMM pretty much.
Yeah, I think this is. I'm gonna tie this into the Hyperliquid ecosystem thing I want to chat about, but I think the jerk reaction to people building AMMs on Hyper EVM is saying, but there's an order book. Why the fuck would you do that? But clearly that's not true because, like you said, like Fartcoin, Sol, BTC, ETH, that's the unit assets. There's hype, but everything apart from that, I mean, you need to have somebody to make that market, and I don't know if everybody wants to do that. I don't know if anybody wants to do that. And spot volumes are actually still quite low on Hyperliquid. That's like supposed to be the next. I don't know if how Ali, you're probably familiar with him, but Max was talking about this Fiegi. I don't know how you say his last name, but I thought that HIP3 would be the next big thing. He agreed, but he also said that like the spot ecosystem needs to grow quite heavily. I think that makes a lot of sense. You guys are doing an AMM, right? Do you have an AMM?
Yeah. We have like one main design that we're working with right now for LSTs specifically. So like you said, it's like kind of like both extremes, like either super volatile small assets or like very stable like one-to-one stuff is where AMMs can really shine. So we're kind of on the latter there. The design we have right now is like a pool that is generally like for any liquid derivative, so any asset that is staked and then can be redeemed for its base asset. So that's like LSTs, like SEUSD and USDE, other types of stable coins that follow that model, LRTs. And it's like, I mean, it's an AMM. I'm like, intuitively, I feel like we're going to have to move away from that language in the long run because there's a lot of like connotations around an AMM, and like what we do now is like that's the closest thing to it, but like it really does a lot more than that. Like, it's much more like an extension of the LST itself. Like, it interacts directly with the staking contracts. It prices based on the stake. There's no bonding curve. It prices based on the staking contracts themselves, and it can like issue new stake and unstake to rebalance the pool. So like AMM is like the easiest way to put it, and like that is what it is. Like, it is an automated market making strategy, but like, you know, we get people asking about stuff like pricing and like slippage and like what happens when the pool gets imbalanced and stuff like that. But like it's a much more like involved market making strategy than just like mathematically following a curve.
That makes sense. And you guys do your own front ends, or do you also work with? I think you work with Stake Type, right? Like, is it only their front end, or do you have your own front end?
We have our own front end. We have app.valantis.xyz. That's where the only place where our current pool lives, and like it will be where all of our pools are for like in the future. I mean, would definitely, like, I'm sure, see other people hosting them as well, but yeah, we have our own front end. Stake Type is like, they're just the asset that we built around for the first like iteration of this pool. We'll like do the same for other assets in the future.
I assume Kinetic is probably a big contender, right?
Kinetic is a big contender, yeah. Kinetic, there's other stable coins, there's other LSTs that plan to go live soon too. Kinetic's the main LST that people are looking forward to, though, it seems.
Yeah, every time I have Omni on the pod, I ask him when he's gonna go live, and it's been like 6 months in between, and so I feel bad for him because he's waiting for pre-compile, but like I have to ask him every time, and then he's like, "Yeah, we're waiting."
Yeah, it's Yeah, it's kind of it's a waiting game. Everybody's just in the pre-compiles wait room because they can't go live. They have like a stake type doesn't have like a fully like trustless staking model, whereas like K-Hype will, and they can't do that without being able to send and redeem assets directly from Hypercore. So they need pre-compiles for that.
Do you think the spot ecosystem on Hyperliquid progresses more by them adding more of the like Farcoin stuff at higher value market caps? Or do you think they make changes to the make changes to the spot ecosystem that make it better to support things on the longer tail?
I can give a very basic thought, and then Ali, I'm sure you know more about this, but I don't think that HLP does spot trading, as far as I understand. Does it?
No.
Yeah. So I feel like that would be. Now, I'm sure there's different risks to that because you actually have to hold the asset. I don't know how it works on the back end. They would know a lot better than me, but I feel like that's one thing just to boost up liquidity on those assets. I think the unlock probably comes with like them bridging over more assets, but as like if Valantis launches a token, that's a lot better because you want the Hyper EVM to develop and have its own tokens, and then people are going to come in and want to trade on the spot books. Like right now, okay, Fart, Sol, ETH, BTC, great. Maybe you can put like Aave, Ina, whatever on there as well, but I think more people want to just buy Hyper EVM tokens, and as those come up.
Well, the connection between like the AMM and the spot, like the AMMs that exist on Hyper EVM and the associated asset on the spot order book. So that's supposed to connect with the right compiles in a way where it's kind of like shared liquidity, or no?
I think it's already connected.
I mean, it's not connected, but you can. I mean, all you can do right now is like send spot assets to and from Hyper EVM. The connection would be like when right precompiles go live, you can imagine a DEX or an aggregator where you go there with hype. Let's say you want to buy FEUSD, and FEUSD is priced at $1 on an AMM on Hyper EVM, but it's priced at like 98 cents on Hypercore. The DEX would instead route that trade to Hypercore and then send your balance back to you on the Hyper EVM. So you get better price execution there than you would if you were just swapping on some DEX on Hyperliquid. That I find that to be like the most basic, like straightforward example of like what right precompiles could do. There's a lot more you can do. The best heuristic I've heard for like what right precompiles are is like you are just wrapping an exchange API directly within a smart contract, and you can do anything, not anything, but like there's a set number of actions which pretty much cover everything without breaking composability that you can do like within a smart contract, and that's like not ever been possible before. Obviously, it's like centralized.
So there's going to be like a really killer aggregator that's early enough and smart enough to write the best version of compiles.
Yeah. I know there's a team that's working on this right now. I mean, they were initially planning to launch like just with Hyper EVM functionality, but now they're waiting for right precompiles, so they will be the first and like probably the only aggregator for a while that is Hyper EVM and Hypercore.
Who is it? Are they public?
No, they're not.
Is it you guys?
No, it's not us. No. But I mean, we'd like to build that for sure. Like, we just wouldn't be the first ones to do it.
That makes sense. Cedo, are you on Hyperliquid a lot, or did Zon ban you from other things?
I'm on Hyperliquid a lot. I probably post about Hyperliquid more than I should. That's probably a thing. But I'm on Hyperliquid a lot. I'd say like, and I do want Ali to flesh out this idea, but there are other ecosystems that like I interact with as well. I think like there's actually I won't touch on that now because it's it's I feel like we need to wrap up this Hyperliquid conversation. But
Well, just wrap it up. You can wrap it up.
Talking about
I thought there was another question you wanted to ask about.
No, I was gonna ask about ecosystem apps, but it's fine. Let's do your thing. It sounds more interesting.
No, I want to see Ali rank all of the ecosystem apps within HyperEVM as a participant.
I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. Am I allowed to do that?
I think so.
I guess, dude, it's funny because like people on the team come to me sometimes and they're like, yo, can I tweet this? Or like, can I say this? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm not your PR guy. I mean, I'm not gonna rank them, but like there definitely are ones that I like am quite bullish on. Felix is the easy answer. Like everybody loves Felix, and for good reason.
Liquidity fork?
Yeah, they're a Liquidity V1 fork.
Okay.
But that's not why I'm like excited about them necessarily. Like I like Liquidity. It's cool for sure, but I think in terms of all the teams on the HyperEVM, they're the ones that are most like forward thinking about leveraging hypercore. And I think that's the reason to be on the HyperEVM. Like if you don't plan to do that as like part of your long-term roadmap, then like just like go to base or something. Like what's the point? You know, it's you're really just there for the hype, no other reason.
No pun intended.
Yeah. I like Felix. Hyperlend I think is also heading in the right direction for that stuff. Hyperbeat is a good team as well. Last one I think is like I think probably like if you spend some time in the HyperEVM you get a sense for this, but most people don't know. Laminar I think is like probably the most I think that they will like edge out Hyperswap and KittenSwap on a long enough time frame as like HyperEVM's like general decks. They're just a lot quieter right now, and like they have a longer term plan than just like, you know, launch a Uni V3 fork or an Airdrome fork and run points.
Very diplomatic. Cedo, anything you like?
I like Felix because very early on they Ali mentioned he just liked the team, and then they also like reached out to me, and like I just think people with that initiative are super cool. Outside of the ones he mentioned, there's another one that I'm farming.
Charlie messages my main and my alt once a week. So
dude, Charlie's great. Charlie and I worked at Panoptic. I think that was like his first. Yeah, I mean he was still like working on Anthis back then, but I think that was his first like roll out of DeFi protocol, and we were both like writers there for not that long, like 6 months maybe.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of him. I agree with you, Cedo. Anytime somebody's messaging you, trying to like get you to use the product, I think that's like it's just great. I think it's good.
Yeah, I don't have any other. Those are the only ones I'm really engaging with. I was also going to ask about like the ICM Meta and all of these new ways to launch a token. I was curious what Boccaccio thinks about those.
Oh yeah,
Should I go first, or do you want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like launch coin and stuff is fine, but I feel like we always get everything in waves. Ali, you mentioned it's like that medium term frequency, like the narrative. Oh, what the hell? Medium term frequency thing. I don't know if like the current ICM meta is the current way of ICM makes a lot of sense. I do think that like logically it does make sense because we're trying to move settlement to crypto rails because it's better. And if more and more liquidity goes on the blockchain, why shouldn't, like, there's so much money in crypto, there's so much dumb money in crypto. If I'm a founder and I can get a quicker exit and get more money to my product, why wouldn't I launch the equity as a token on, maybe not like using launch coin, but I'm sure it's something that could eventually work out. I just feel like it's a 2-3 year thing and not something that is immediate. I didn't like the ICM Meta for what it's worth. I didn't like the original one where it was like the Vine founder was like jelly. I didn't like this last one where Pasternak just the entire thing was just him tweeting out. I know that it's probably still going up, but I do think that there's probably something there in that the way that we issue assets and the way that capital forms, it might start moving more and more towards crypto. And then I think you probably shouldn't ignore that, because eventually, like, nobody thought that stablecoins would completely be on chain, and nobody still thinks that, but eventually it might be, because it would make sense. That's my very diplomatic take, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's fair. The way that I kind of think about it, I don't really like the term like ICM, just because I think that's like, I think that comes with like very Web 2 like SF cabal type connotations. I more so think that like, I think the whole meta like is and always has been just like permissionless bootstrapping. Like I don't think that like Jelly or like Kled or who like Dupe or whoever like is necessarily like a new part of this. Like I think it always has been with like Pump Fun, Virtuals, like I mean AI16Z was late with their launchpad, but like that was part of it too. Like it's always just been like how can we form capital on chain in like the most efficient way possible so that it like runs the hardest, gets the most attention, and like continues to be a valuable vehicle for like retail to participate in. And like I think that there's basically two things that matter there. And one of them is distribution. And that's why like Launchcoin was so exciting, because we didn't really have a launchpad that had like unique and interesting distribution before that. Like Pump Fund's distribution is that people come there to extract. Like there is an like a quote unquote underground network of people who launch tokens and corner the supply or whatever and pump stuff. You know, sometimes it's like actual like exchanges who like send stuff just to infinity. Sometimes it's people who just pump stuff to 500K and dump it. Whatever it is, it like creates volume, it creates attention, and it like makes some people money, burns most people. That is like solved distribution over there. And then like ICM comes in, or Launchcoin comes in, and they're like, oh, like we have people building like actual apps now, like people who have backgrounds, who have done other things in the startup world and are now working on something new, or taking whatever they're working on before and attaching a token to it. But it's not, it's just a different, like, just a different reason to get people excited. The core thing of what's going on is the same. And the second thing that matters is like mechanics. So like this is where like anti-snipe stuff, like different bonding curves, different like launch pads and buyback mechanisms, whatever, that like this is where that starts to come into play. And that's like much more interesting and digestible to me. So like stuff like Doppler is really cool. I think stuff like Flaunch, Dizzy is like in that group too. I'm still a little bit skeptical of them, or like Vertigo. I know like the Phoenix guys did something with like Gavel or like IBRL, whatever it was. Believe is having like they're launching their own anti-snipe fees, whatever it is. But yeah, that's like the other side of the coin, is like how can we structure this? How can we structure this bootstrapping process so that it like gets the token into the hands of the people who want it the most at the best price, like over the longest period of time.
I thought they were, I don't want to be a dick to Ethereum, but I thought the whole reason that Doppler and Flaunch managed to work that out is because they just, like on Solana, they also used to have anti-sniping thing, and then they eventually figured out how to bypass it because there was a lot of money to be made. And I'm curious if like Flaunch, Doppler, etc., if there was enough money to be made, or more and more money to be made, they could just bypass it by figuring out another system, as opposed to what it is now. It's kind of might be a bit of an ignorant take, though, because I'm not as familiar with Flunch and Doppler as I understand the Solana side of the auction and the anti-sniping stuff.
Do you think that these things just have to represent equity for any of it to actually work?
Yes.
That's kind of where I sit, and I feel like everything else should be.
But can we do that? Like, is that legal?
Yeah.
It is? I always thought that was like the biggest no-no. Like, tokens can't be equity.
Well, I think they couldn't be equity. I think they can be now. Or like, because you can get
legal.
You can get away with, like, maybe it's not the legal definition of equity, but if Valantis launches a token and it's making a lot of money on these swaps,
why do we keep using this as an example?
Whatever, because Initia already has a token. Okay, let's do Initia. If
Initia launches Initia too,
Protocol X has a token and it makes a lot of money, and all of that money goes to the token. Like, it's the case with Hyperliquid, right? Like, I'm sure there's Hyperliquid equity as well. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to get shot by Jeff and Zulian, but
I don't think so.
Okay, Hyperliquid's about whatever. Let's
like Morpho did something like this,
yeah,
right? Where like now it's all under one token. There is no equity.
Yeah, and if de facto all protocol revenue is going to the token and not the equity, then the token is the equity, because the token just needs to represent the cash flows of the product. Like, that's what equity is. Even if you can't legally call it equity, but it gets all of the cash flows, then it just acts as equity now. And you can do that now. You can do buybacks, which aren't great, but you can do just fee sharing, whatever. Then your thing becomes equity. Posh. No?
Yeah. But it has to be, like, there are some pretty, not high value market cap, but some pretty up there market cap coins right now that have teams that raise equity and then have a token through this like ICM Meta, and they're trying to navigate like what the balance is between the two. And my base case is that it's not going to work, and that there's going to have to be a framework for launching these. And there's like a few people, like, I don't know if you saw these guys, I think it's called Metaplex or like Meta. Yeah, they're trying to do like SAFs on chain somehow. That could be cool. Salutary is trying to do some like merger M&A stuff that I think could be cool as well. Just creating some like legal framework that actually works, I think will be exciting. But there needs to be a few scams. People need to lose a bunch of money within ICM for something nice to come out the other side.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also agree with your take that something needs to blow up for it to get fixed. Like, 100%, I think every year a lot of things blow up, and then we realize, hey guys, that was not it. We should do it.
Like, Hyperunit is gonna have like stocks and stuff. I think most people remember like doing stuff on Mirror and how that blew up. Like, that was pretty fun. Aside from the blowing up part.
Yeah.
What ecosystems are you messing around with as we close off here? Other than Hyperliquid.
This is actually why I have people on and ask them what the fuck are you doing on chain, because I am not doing anything on chain these days. I talked about this last pod, which shows that Cedo doesn't listen to the pod, which is fine.
I listened to the one with Omni and Max and Monk, I think it was.
Yeah, can you give me your feedback on that?
Right now,
give me your feedback on
it. I think you should just lean into more clips. I think you're funny, and I love the clips that you post and the memes that people post about you. I think just lean into more clips and don't have people on that are not going to put their face cam, or at least put in the effort to have like a 3D figure.
Yeah. To be fair, I also
You didn't have face cam on that episode, I don't think. Yeah.
I don't think so. Ollie, did you listen to it?
Ollie doesn't listen to any podcasts.
I can't listen to a podcast.
I don't listen
My
to
brain's
any
too fried.
I listen to 0 podcasts.
It's just not like I couldn't even if I wanted to. Like
Nope.
5 minutes in, I would be doing something else without realizing, and it would just be I would not be processing a single word.
Yeah. The thing I do now is I go on YouTube and I copy the transcript and I just paste it into ChatGPT if I really need to listen to stuff, like listen or learn something. But I can't listen to pods. What I'm doing on Chain, Hyperunit, Felix, Hyperlend, on Hyper EVM Hyperliquid. I did play a bit of Kamigochi because my brother was like, "This is really cool. You should check it out." So that's my hedge against Initia. Apart from that, nothing really, to be honest with you. Like I'm kind of bored. I hold Hyperliquid and BTC, and then it's 40-40, and then I have 20% cash. So I don't know.
It might be boring, but you probably outperform like almost everyone, at least like to date.
Yeah, I talk about this quite often in my Slack, in my work Slack. I say, "Hey guys, how's everything going?"
On the topic of other ecosystems, this one is not one that I'm spending time on yet, but I really think that Ink could be really cool. Just imagine Base, but like without the feds. That's my vision for what Ink is. And I think that's worth a lot.
I need a bit more of a pitch for this because this does not make sense to me intuitively. For somebody to say, "Hey, Kraken's L2, yeah, that's the one."
I think
it's a team.
Their team is very like their team is much more like CT native, and like they understand a lot more about how like DeFi and crypto ecosystems work, I think, than Base does. Base is like, it feels like they're constantly trying to put a square peg into a round hole, and it's like sometimes it fits and they get lucky with like I don't even know like the last unique thing that they did on Base. Like it's just an extension of Ethereum.
Content coins.
Dude, those were so fucking bad. I can't believe they did that. Like that's the worst meta I've ever seen.
Yeah. That's exactly what I think is a good example of like trying to put a square peg into a round hole. Like I just don't, they just don't like have, I mean, they're trying stuff, which is cool, but like I don't think it's as like informed by actual like what people actually want as like Ink could be.
More and more often, I think Jesse is also like not a human. I think like people talk about officials as like lizard people. I think Jesse is probably a lizard person.
I'm more so think like whenever I think of like when you think of a chain and you get like some form of an aesthetic in your head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one that I get when I think of, oh my god, it's taking me a fucking hour to do this. Professional podcaster, by the way. This is my day job. I think of this every time I think of Base. Like it's just like how can we do this?
This is so true.
Yeah,
this is exactly so true.
It's just kind of a shame as well because they technically have all of the resources of Coinbase. They also had it, like they had attention, they had the lead, they had everybody was like, oh, you have to launch on Solana or Base. Like all of the VCs were even like Alliance was saying you have to launch on Solana or Base. Other funds were saying the same thing, I assume, and then they're just kind of irrelevant now. Like it's Aerodrome, and I feel like that's it, right? They had Morpho, but I think that's
just so much liquidity there.
Morpho, I think, there's liquidity. Morpho is cool because they have like Coinbase integrations, and like they will have more in the future probably. I think a big part of the Base thesis was always like the Coinbase smart wallet and being able to use Base from Coinbase, which is like Kraken is also doing that, but like I don't know how I mean, you can't like really do much on chain from the Coinbase app right now, as I understand it, but they're planning to do more along those lines. So it's like you're unlocking a whole new user group. But I don't know.
I
also
don't
think that Arjun guy is pretty based. I kind of like that guy. He's the new co-founder of, or co-CEO of Kraken.
I also
Kraken's
Kraken
like
doesn't ban.
Nibiru chain.
That's a big part. I'm probably
Yeah.
biased. Like Kraken doesn't.
I've been locked out of
connect.
Coinbase and never used it again.
Yeah, that's what
I
happened
think
to
a
me
lot
too.
of people have.
For no reason. For no
Kraken-
reason.
No
Like
reason.
I hadn't used it in months.
All right. Guys, before we end it off, do you have where do you want people to check out? Do you have anything that you want blurred on the screen saying make sure to follow X, make sure to look into Y? Cedo, please.
Make sure to look into Initia, try some of the applications, earn some ES in it. We give away like $500,000 in ES in it every 2 weeks, so it's pretty good ROI if you're in it for the long haul. Things to check out other than the Initia page. Honestly, just you're probably better off just like following Ollie's Twitter. There's probably a good amount of alpha there. That's where I get all my alpha.
I feel like I don't tweet that much like alpha anymore.
Maybe
Like every now and then.
Everyone just reply to Ollie's tweets and just say alpha ? Until he gives you
I'm
alpha.
going to block you. I will immediately block you. Yeah, I guess from my end, if you hold hype, you can deposit it on Valantis and earn yield and points on it from the lending markets. There's going to be more pools there soon with different rewards on them. It usually outperforms staking yield. It's not right now just because volume's been low, but that generally makes it the best place to park your hype if you just want pure yield on it. And yeah, follow Valantis, ask us questions, hang out with us, all that fun stuff.
Very good. Guys, thank you for coming on. This was fun. Maybe you can post this on Exit Liquidity if you want to. You don't have to, but since you guys both did it, it might make sense. And we can do this.
Yeah, I mean,
there you go. No, you don't have to
clip it up.
I don't see why not. It's been a while since we posted.
We'll probably just be lazy and retweet your post. If we're gonna be honest.
That makes sense.
We can quote it.
No, but I appreciate you guys coming on. This is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having us.